Let's see if we can rip something up with these.
Well, we have a Wolverine mech here, so I think he's going to be the one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, poor Hatchet Man's going to be wasted.
Should we give him 2 claws? We should.
Oh, definitely,
The X-Men had one, a couple, so let's give... Here we are, we're talking about weapons, like physical attack weapons. And it's claws this time.
Claw time.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, Freddy Krueger and all those other Wolverine, you can picture whatever you like, but yeah, that's a mech with one of those, or 2 of those, one for each hand if it wants. So
Yeah. So they're basically modified hand actuators. So instead of a hand, you have like a set of, like, I think the Mantis, which is my favorite physical attack weapon mech, is like a 30-ton mech, but he's got 3 claws instead of a hand. He's got like 3 claws that just, and they're the big things. Very cool. It's very cool. So it's a specially modified hand actuator. One of the favorites with the Solaris 7 crowds sometimes. Intended for raw armor-rending strength. Claws are far less dexterous than standard hand actuators, making them ill-suited to anything but close quarters combat.
Okay.
Which is kind of the point.
But it's advanced tech though, isn't it?
It's pretty advanced tech.
So it's sort of featured in the Solaris arenas for a little while.
Yeah.
Now I'd imagine. So.
Like they say, it's on again, off again favorite of the crowd. So sometimes they want to see people rip stuff up, and sometimes they don't. But I still think they're cool. So basically what you're doing is with the claws, you're using that instead of a punch. So your punches, you can do 2, as we discussed in the punch video. You're actually allowed to do 2. So if you have both arms like the Mantis does with claws on, then you're doing 2 enhanced punches.
Okay.
So it's kind of a grab and rip sort of thing instead of an actual punch.
Okay.
So they're resolved with standard punching attack, but you get a +1 to hit modifier because the claws are a lot heavier than a standard hand actuator, so you get the +1.
There'll be a certain technique, like you were saying. It's not just like wailing. You got to.
Yeah, you've got to know the technique you've got, and that will weigh the end of your mech's arms down, especially for a light mech like a Mantis. But they are cool because if successful, the claw inflicts 1 point of damage for every 7 tons that that mech weighs. Now, normally it's 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So for something like the Mantis is 30 tons, and you're rounding your tonnages up, your results up. So a normal punch from a 30-ton mech will do 3 points of damage. A punch from a Mantis with that +1 modifier will do, five points of damage. So 7 4 is 28, and the 2 rounds up. So it will go to 5 points of damage instead of 3. It doesn't sound like a lot. It really doesn't. But you do that with both arms and you manage to hit, that's 10 points of damage instead of, 6?
Yeah.
So it's quite a difference. It is quite a difference. I think it's worth it, personally. But
definitely worth it for the Mantis.
Oh, yeah.
It's lighter, but
yeah.
it's got the speed. I'm assuming it's fast.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. It had a mask system, so it's got that extra burst of speed when it wants it. But it also, there is a limiting thing. These are built for combat, not for objective seizing or picking things up. Okay, you got like, it doesn't work. So the disadvantage is you can lift objects as normal, but you have to make a successful piloting skill roll with a +2 target modifier to avoid damaging it. So whatever you're picking up, and if it's particularly fragile like people, then it's a +1 modifier as well. So that's a +3 overall.
Oh, God. Okay.
They can't be combined with any other melee weapon in the same arm. So you can't even have a retractable blade. You can't hold a whip or a hatchet or anything like that. You've got your claws or nothing. But you can be used to grab and wield an improvised club, but you have a +2 to hit penalty. And it's worth noting that if you fail the piloting skill roll that you're making to try and pick things up, especially fragile things, and you fail it, you break it. It's destroyed. So if you're picking up a little hovercraft to put it higher up or something like that, then you fail that piloting skill roll, you'll just crush it.
Just crush it. Wow.
That's done.
Okay. So the claws, they do take up slots and weight and things like that.
Yep.
So it's 1 ton per claw, and the amount of slots it takes up is 1 for every 15 tons. So
Yes.
the mantis will be paying 1 and 2 slots per claw.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, light mechs usually have lots of slots, so that's not the issue. But I don't know, one ton's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Considering that extra damage.
And basically the slots for the claw replace the hand actuator slot. You don't get penalties for that, as far as I know, with the attacks, but that might be where the +1s come from.
Possibly. Yeah, Possibly. I'd say that's probably what it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, and you can switch both hands, or you can just switch one hand. You could have a mantis with claws in one hand and an actual hand in the other one. So you could hold another weapon, or you could use it for objective seizing, which is a thing.
True. Yeah.
So it's worth looking into. I mean, again, I'm going to say this every time, but if you're just making your own mechs, or you're just mucking around and having some fun with it, these are cool.
Yeah.
Give them a crack.
Should we do a little example?
Let's see if we can rip something up with these.
Well, we have a Wolverine mech here, so I think he's going to be the one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, poor Hatchet Man's going to get wasted.
Should we give him 2 claws? We should.
Oh, definitely.
The X-Men had a couple, so let's do that. Okay, all right.
He gets 2. So he gets his additional +1 modifier to his piloting skill, and we'll just use basic piloting skill.
Yeah. So let's assume no movement or whatever. Keep it nice and simple. So there they are. So he has a piloting of 5 as standard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
+1 for claws makes it a 6, and he's got 2 of them, so let's roll 2s at the dice.
2, yep. 1 hit, 1 miss.
Ooh, buddy.
Ew. Alright, so he is 55 tons.
55 tons, so a normal punch would do 6.
So yeah,
that does 8 points of
8
damage.
points of damage. Jeez, that's alright.
That's not bad.
Out.
As opposed to 6.
So we're doing 8 points of damage to the punch location, which is nice. 6! Oh!
That is 8 points of damage to that young man's head.
So the Hatchetman, this version, only has 6 armor on the outside. So, yeah.
He's just taken an do you want to roll for critical and see how you go?
I think so.
So he's just taken 2 points of internal damage on his head.
Yeah, so it's coloured.
Which means he's got an automatic pilot hit.
3, 4, 5, 6.
7, 8.
Oops, down here. 7, 8. And imagine the pilot. Imagine what he's seeing. Real hilarious. Alright, piloting, a critical chance. Oh, 11. So that's 2.
Oh no!
Yes. So it's a D6. So we'll roll it twice on here. 6 and a 5. So we have life support and sensors. So not the cockpit, luckily.
Luckily, but life support's gone. So if he builds up heat, he's going to start taking damage.
He's going to have problems, yeah.
If he goes underwater, he's going to be taking damage.
And sensors, he's got a +2 to his weapon attacks.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's not good.
Consciousness check.
Conscious check.
Passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pilot automatic takes a hit, so yeah. That's not bad, huh?
Claws.
Love them. Especially on Wolverine. I think we've got a new favourite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. Extra damage is always good. That's probably worth that. I would put the extra tonnage and slots for claws, for sure.
And that's, you take out, for 1 ton, you take out 1 medium laser off of that Wolverine, and you could modify it to have a set of claws.
True.
You take out 2 medium lasers, and you've got...
Let's see. This version has, 2 medium lasers, a large laser, and SRM-6.
So you could take out 1 of those medium lasers and replace 1 of his hand actuators with 3 critical spaces for the claws.
Yep.
and you wouldn't significantly reduce his firepower, but you would greatly increase his ability to do damage with physical combat.
Yeah.
And like you just saw, 1 chance in 6 to do that sort of damage to something's head, it's insane.
Yep.
That is cool. I mean, and it's not quite as easy as punching, but it does more damage than punching. So I think it's worth it, especially if you have a good pilot. Get those good pilots. When you're playing games to battle value, squeeze in, you either go for numbers or you go for really elite pilots.
Yeah.
And in a situation like this where it's one-on-one or Solaris style combat, go for the elite pilot, the best pilot you can get, because it helps.
It's a lot cheaper BV wise to get a better pilot rather than shooting, like a better piloting skill.
Yes.
So if you do want to do a lot of physical attacks, then that's probably something definitely worth considering.
And there are some Solaris mechs out there that are mainly based around physical attacks. There aren't many, but they are there. And if you're making your own mech, then you can just make it completely physical based. You can give it the triple strength, you can give it a decent speed, you can make your pilot a 0 with whatever gunnery you feel like, and just go for it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yum. Claws.
So that's claws.
Lucky.
I love them.
Yeah.
When the first time I saw the Mantis, I'm like, I have to have that. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's the best. Alright, all good?
Well, that's it. That's claws.
No worries.
So, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye guys.